Hey there, Dan. Good morning. It's Ty Haber. I thought I'd take the opportunity to do a screencast recording of the response to the first prompt, which was part one, Philosopher. What I tried to do was go through what you had as far as what you wanted us to answer. Did all the readings, made some notes, so I thought I'd just kind of go through and comment on my notes here and then respond to the prompts. Teachers as master learners. That was about, becoming master learners and not just master teachers. I thought that was pretty relevant and practical. It kind of reflects the apprenticeship sort of approach to things where, you're not just forcing content on somebody, but you're guiding them and giving them the scaffolds. And so I like that idea. I truly do believe that I am a lifelong learner. I was a very inquisitive child and was always tinkering with things and wanting to solve problems and puzzles and that kind of stuff. So I'm constantly challenging myself. Well, witness the fact that I'm 51 years old and taking a master's program. So I don't know if a PhD is in the future or not for me. I don't think so. But anyways, George goes on to suggest a totally different way of thinking about teaching where one is instead controlling classroom teacher now influences or shapes the network. Yeah, that's certainly true. Again, I can't really draw on any practical experience, not being a teacher and all, but I could see where teachers are now facilitators and helping students learn how to learn, basically. As I mentioned before, modeling has its roots in apprenticeship, and so on and so forth. Now we teach kids to become professional learners. Give her the mindset and skills to create new science, not just the old science. Yeah, I think that pretty much teach a man to fish and they'll fish forever sort of thing. Going through this program so far, all the other courses I've taken, the one on equity and diversity in the classroom, and the other one on emergent bilinguals and English language learners, both have kind of framed everything in Vygotsky and social interaction and scaffolding and zone of proximal development. And I see your class is right along that same framework where, you're really trying to get the kids or the students to actually understand what learning is and be able to take things off in their own direction. How teachers can sell the love of learning to students. I think I like the idea of teachers learning alongside their students and being vulnerable enough to make mistakes in front of their students and demonstrate the fact that teachers are just like them. Everybody's learning, everybody makes mistakes, and if you can frame learning in that way, then you can give people the encouragement and support to make their mistakes in the future. I never had that growing up. I was always like quizzes and assignments and all those sort of formal assessments and content. There was not a lot of fun. But I will say that the teachers that did engage me and challenge myself, those are the moments I feel that I really learned the most. Moving on to Innovators Mindset. I think you, in your video overview, you had a slide there, which is basically the whole class and the different lenses through you can view teaching through. And a couple things that caught my eye in one of your infographics that I hadn't really heard about, a little bit maybe. Genius Hour was one of them. I took a look at that, and I thought that was pretty freaking awesome, where kids have the opportunity, or 20%, framed on Google's way of they approach development, or their developers, giving the kids the opportunity to pursue stuff that they have a passion for and supporting them along the way and getting them to have some sort of direction and, a compelling question, some research question to answer, and must be shared not only with the class, but ideally with the world. I think that's pretty neat. It kind of underscores the fact that we're all part of a global community, and we can share not only with our peers, but also everybody else out in the world. And giving them the opportunity to unleash their creativity, I thought was pretty neat. The other thing that I hadn't heard of, a coworker goes to Maker Faire every year. He makes cigar box guitars. His name's John Sawyer. And really inexpensive thing. He makes them, he sells them, he teaches people how to build them. And I think that's just an opportunity, or like an awesome opportunity for kids to go and get inspired and be able to create stuff with stuff around the house or very inexpensively made. So I thought that was a pretty cool thing. And giving kids multiple ways to learn that's tailored to their strengths and passions is key. I thought that was pretty awesome. And again, that goes to what I learned in the multilingual class or multicultural class was that you don't have to dumb down the content for the students if you have a couple non-native speakers in your class. The whole idea was to give everybody an equal on-ramp to the education and knowledge and content. And that really struck an interesting chord with me. Same with people with disabilities, handicapped, mentally handicapped, what have you. I like the idea of seeing those people as normal, and the challenge for the teacher is to find the right access to the content or knowledge or learning or teaching. It's not the challenge shouldn't be on the student. The challenge should be for the teacher to actually get whatever scaffolds they need. So anyways, I see all these sort of parallels between these classes. It's pretty cool. What was another comment here? In the relation to the importance of teachers to being on Twitter, Chorus states, the network helps people become better. How could it not? Yeah, sure. I understand that, professional learning network, get everybody connected, sharing, caring, and all that kind of stuff. And I think later on in the book he says something about, if teachers just took 5 minutes to write something on Twitter or a blog post and took 5 minutes to read somebody else's, then it would, help them immensely. It would help everybody. And yeah, to a certain extent, I agree with that, but still, I think I've mentioned before that information, the number of signals that I get in my day for different blogs and alerts and email messages and interrupts, people calling me, and that it's just information overload. And I just see that you have to kind of cherry pick what information you want to be exposed to. Yeah, sure, I can sign up for all these different Twitter feeds and RRS feeds and that kind of stuff, but frankly, I'm not going to have time to even read the headlines. So, yeah, network's good where it's useful. For me personally, I have to prune down my sources of information. I do agree that I've learned a lot in the class. I totally agree that I've learned a lot and can put it to practical use. In regards to Course's book, we made mixtapes, they remix music. We watch TV, they make TV, and that's cool. That's a whole generational change. I think that's awesome. And as older adults, we have to kind of embrace that change of culture, and I think it's difficult for a lot of people. But I see it happening. My mom she's 80 years old, and she's sending emails to me, so I think that's pretty cool. We must promote and capitalize on open, connected learning. I agree. Interestingly enough, I wanted to share an experience. I started working at Solar Turbines in 1999. I'm an IT guy. I document up the yin-yang. I love sharing information. And when I got there, my team lead was like, "Oh, no, we can't educate the developers. No, we don't want to give them too much. Otherwise, they'll start asking us questions." And it was like the antithesis of what I want to do. So I've slowly changed the culture there at Solar so that there's everybody shares and documents and that kind of stuff, and we can learn from one another. It just irks me that people are stuck in their old ways. And anyways, we'll keep going here out of breakneck pace. Sometimes the network of information can be overwhelming to the learner. Where does one start? I'd say, it'd be useful to have a curated path for learners to start their journey on so they're not so overwhelmed. I got overwhelmed myself starting this class, just trying to keep on top of all the different technologies that were out there and creating more meaningful learning experiences. Professional learning practice, I agree. Yeah, you just got to be a constant learner, even if you are a teacher. you can't know everything forever. You need to learn new stuff all the time. When people are learning something which they're passionate about, then the challenge is well worth the effort. I totally agree with that. Are we there yet? Not quite. When I read the title of this chapter, The Biggest Barrier and Game Changer, I knew, oh yeah, that's got to be the individual. I didn't even have to read any further, and it's so true, right? So just finding the intrinsic motivation to do stuff and share and learn and be willing to make mistakes and that kind of stuff. So that's my review. Looking at Philosopher, I'm going to quickly look at some of the questions. How do these articles get you thinking about education and our role as educators? Well, jump in with both feet and rub elbows with the students and inspire and give them the tools that they need to go in whatever direction they need to. I think that's pretty cool. How can we model and teach learning as opposed to stuff? Again, getting in there. And I like the idea of the flipped classroom. I think that's totally cool. A guy up the street, he's a teacher at Cuyamaca, and he does this in his class, records his lectures, that sends it home with the kids. They listen to the content or whatever. He even records his lectures in class, and then they do the homework together when the kids are there. I think that's already. How do I do this already? I'm a sharer. I think I stated it already. I embody a lot of these things. Why is it important? Well, if you're not moving forward, you're stagnating and you're no help to anybody. So you really got to be constantly learning. That's what I get. How can we bring the innovators mindset to our school, workplace, and the classroom? Oh, geez. Just looking at some of these tools like Canva and Powtoon, and that I can totally use at my workplace. And I think those are such a creative, neat, interesting way of doing stuff. I wanted to bring Prezi in and do presentations with that, but I was told, no, we got to stick with just the stock corporate slides in PowerPoint. And God, no fireworks or anything. How dull. So I'm going to try and spice things up a bit. Where does technology fit in? It's just a tool. It's all about relationships and creating an environment of trust for students to learn. Evidence, I think I've already talked about some of the quotes. Manifesto, I think just going forward and not telling people how to learn, but helping them along the way, giving them the tools that they need to succeed. I think that's true about any successful teacher. I even sent my boss a quote that I read. It was the one from, who was it? I've got it right here. It's from John Quincy Adams. He said, if your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. And that, I think, is the epitome of definitions of a leader. Fortunately, in my workplace, there aren't too many. But anyways, thanks for listening. Sorry it was so long-winded. Hopefully I'm going to be able to figure out Powtoons really quick and do the next prompt. Anyways, take care. Bye.